Welcome back, episode 32 of Revisited? 32, yep. JoJo's?
Yeah, JoJo's. This is a video that I've wanted to hit for a while. Several people were recommending, like, there's a couple videos that are just like all the plot holes and JoJo's and stuff. And this is the one that I scrolled through and I heard one of them. I'm like, okay. All right, I see what you're doing here, homie. And I'm like, this is one I've been fighting for a while.
This is Smizzle, and there was another video of his that we wanted to do. I don't even remember what it was at this point, but I do remember seeing Smizzle and like, let's do that. Yeah. So this one is the comprehensive list of plot holes.
All caps.
In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Never knew the dude. I was surprised by the lack of views of this, though. Because it's been 4 months and it was only at 1K. And it seems like that's more... He's more of a... I don't know.
And it's a pretty divisive topic and everything.
Yeah, that might be it. Okay, so let's get into it, I guess. Let me move that over there.
All right.
I see that it's still through my TV instead of my headphones.
Goodness gracious.
Boy, how long have we been doing this? Alright. Let's try that again.
Okay, so background information for those who weren't aware. YouTuber Shuck.
If you're a person doing edited content, please edit your audio as well to remove the background noise and hisses from them. Thank you.
Meister made a video pointing out the many supposed plot holes and inconsistencies about anime and manga series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. YouTuber Hamon Beat saw this and seethed so hard he decided to dedicate months of his life breaking down every single supposed plot hole proposed by YouTuber Shuckmeister and anyone else who dares take Hirohiko Araki's name in vain or give in.
They're actually pretty good. There's some of them that are just like, you're stretching this a little bit. It's easier to just go, yeah, this was a screw up. Mm-hmm. But other ones are just like, yeah, this is people misinterpreting things or forgetting things.
I feel like people are too afraid to have the things that they like screw up.
Yeah, just to be like, no, this is a bad thing. They messed up. This clearly wasn't planned. They forgot about this. It's very easy to say that. And nobody's perfect. That's just another one of those nobody's perfect things, and just accept it.
The things that you like aren't 100% good. They can't all be 100% good. So, going
valid criticism to the 5th greatest story ever told. Now, some may understand that Shucks Araki Forgot videos are played up for jokes, but there does seem to be some genuine attempts at criticism mixed in, none of which are actually valid. Now,
That's a big problem with videos like that. Videos like Nux, where it's just like, is this a joke? How serious are we supposed to take this criticism? And
it's hard when it's jokes with criticism mixed in.
Yeah.
There was somebody, it was Bob Viz. Bob Viz did a video on CinemaSins, thank you. And it was just like, there's legit criticisms within the videos. So it's hard to know what a joke is and what is actual, just like, hey, this is terrible from the movie. And then people are just like, well, it's all satire. It can't be, because there's a lot of legitimate criticism within it. Not just nitpicking garbage.
I could start getting into what I think of them as people, but that's not what this video is about. Perhaps if we get, say, 15 to 20 likes on this video.
I had forgotten this type of stuff. Where it's just
never forget.
Never forget. Where it's just like, I'm going to hold my opinion hostage until you guys grant
Pony up
better algorithm by giving me more likes, comments, and subscribe.
List of plot holes that are indisputably in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. None of these plot holes are going to be anything.
Okay, we're gonna have to remember that. He goes, this is indisputable.
This was not a good time to pause it.
Buckmeister said because all of them either were already debunked or were clearly jokes. Now, if you believe you can debate whether these are actually plot holes or not, which I doubt you can, head down to my Discord server in the description and we'll talk this out. Ooh. Now let's get started with Phantom Blood.
Don't... Dude, these people drain us. And you know they drain us.
I'm just saying the options on the table. We don't know. Like I said, I only heard one of these. This could just be like 20 plot holes, and we disagree with only 3 of them.
There are no plot holes in Phantom Blood. That's right, the first 44 chapters of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are in fact the tightest, most consistent, and most well-written story Hirohiko Araki has ever told. So let's get started with battle tendency.
I'm sure I can think of something.
But I don't care to.
Yeah, maybe not a plot hole, maybe just an inconsistency. But
I don't care to.
Yeah.
I can tell you what is inconsistent. That in art.
We're not. It's fine.
No, it's not. And don't lie to yourself and say that it is. I think playing Yu Yu Hakusho music.
It's a good song.
Yeah, this is like the 4th ending.
It's a good song.
I understand, but...
In Phantom Blood, Will Zeppeli mentions that he never married or had any children. This is directly contradicted by the existence of Caesar in battle tendency. And
does he know he has that kid?
Yeah, this... I wish he would have provided the English version.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, that's... You're right. That could just be he doesn't know, but... Or it could just be...
Yeah, either way could be right.
Yeah.
Caesar in battle tendency. At one point, Lisa reveals to Joseph that she is 50 years old. It is later revealed that she was also the newborn baby that Arena found on the cruise ship at the very end of Phantom Blood. The fact that Lisa knows exactly how old she is a plot hole, since we don't know how old the newborn baby was when Arena found her.
Pause. How? That's not. First off, that's not a plot hole. That has nothing. That doesn't.
Has nothing to do with the plot.
That doesn't create any inconsistencies in the plot. It doesn't affect anything really. And Arena could just be like, this is a baby.
A toddler.
You could look at a baby and be like, this isn't a 3-year-old. You'd be like, this is a 9-month-old.
And it's not a new-year-old.
So who cares if she's...
New-year-old.
Who cares if she's 49, 50, or 51? That doesn't really matter.
She could... 50.
Yeah.
She could actually think she's 48, but just go 50.
Yeah. That's a major nitpick, that is.
Throughout the park, many different pillarmen are shown, not just Cars, AC/DC, Wamu, and Santana, but there were also many others in flashbacks. However, examples of pillar women are extremely few and far between. This is an example of sexism, which isn't as necessarily a plot hole in the story of JoJo, it's more of a plot hole in the content of Araki's character.
It's not a plot hole. At the worst you could say sexism, but even it's not even that.
Yeah.
It's not sexist to not have women represented by the pillar men. He's not degrading women. He's not going, oh, they're just objects to be sexed on. He's just going, there are not a lot of pillar women.
Yeah.
That's the plot hole and that's the sexism?
And I could have sworn the picture that he showed, there was a woman there.
Yeah, but he said there's not a lot of women.
Who cares because about the number?
So there could, from all we know,
that was just one picture.
And there's roughly 11 pillar men and 2-3 pillar women. And it's sexism because the number's not balanced?
How is that an indisputable... How is that a plot hole?
He said it's not a plot hole. It's not so much a plot hole as Araki's...
Then why'd you add it?
Let's actually go back a little.
Really a plot hole in the story of JoJo. It's more of a plot hole in the content of Araki's character.
No, it's still a plot hole in Araki's character. Araki's character has a plot, and there's a hole in it. And the hole is sexism. Do you see? What is he talking about?
I was trying to go, am I going to joke with what he said, serious with what he said? And I just had a brain fart because I'm still trying to process what he's talking about.
Both Caesar and Lisa lose to the Pillarmen, whom Joseph would later beat. This is an inconsistency within the power scaling of the series, since Caesar and Lisa demonstrated themselves to be stronger than Joseph.
At the time.
And also, Lisa got tricked. She was caught off guard. It wasn't a fair fight.
And with Zeppeli, it was like, I'm going to give my power to this guy as well, so it's his power as well as Zeppeli's power.
And also, the fights were different. It was a straight-up head-on-head fight as opposed to a chariot race.
The conditions were different, everything.
And Joseph beat a Pillar Man. Cars, AC/DC one.
The fourth one.
He beat two of them, as a matter of fact. He beat AC/DC and Santana.
However, both characters who demonstrated themselves to be stronger than those two eventually lost to Joseph, with relative ease, seeing that his life was only in actual...
It wasn't relative ease. He lost an arm to Cars. He was almost murdered. He got mad lucky by the volcano thing.
I mean, pure luck.
What relative ease are you talking about?
Relative ease, seeing that his life was only in actual danger a handful of times in each fight.
Actual danger in... Okay.
Relative ease and actual danger.
Okay, relative to what?
In comparison to what? Because I would say that, who's the first person that he fought? It was Straight Soul. Yeah, I did. That's coming from outside.
Okay, go ahead.
Straight Soul. Straight Soul was, I would say that was low diff, like 6'10" matchup. Mm-hmm. The other ones, again, he almost died. You can't say that it was relative ease and he nearly died multiple times.
From the very beginning, it's implied that Battle Tendency would cover more serious topics like racism, with the very first new ally...
It implies... So you're saying a plot hole is that it implies something but did not follow through on it. This cannot be where this guy is going.
This can't be right.
Character being Smokey in a scene of him being brutalized by the police. There's also the appearance of Nazis...
Are they like the 60s? Or the 40s, the 30s, 40s, or 50s, or 60s, somewhere around there?
I think Jonathan's story happened in the 80s, the 1880s. So this would be around the 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah! A black kid is gonna get beat up by a cop.
Are we supposed to focus on this for the entire story, or do we focus on the injustice of the African American people, or the fantastic vampire fight?
What's the story Rocky is trying to tell here?
I know which one I'd rather see.
There's also the appearance of Nazis and their impact on the plot. And finally, you have the Pillarmen, who are a race of people who insist on...
There are 2 women in this 6-character shot.
being superior to all the humans around them and are bent on taking over the world and ascending ever higher. Despite all this, it's never actually stated that racism would be any sort of recurring theme in Part 2. Araki instead opts to continue the same boring theme of humanity, which was already explored in Phantom Blood. In fact, all parts of JoJo explore this theme at a different angle, suggesting that...
Sure, if you want to perceive it that way, absolutely.
But you can also... fate.
You could also perceive it as fate. You could also perceive it as death. You can perceive it as anything that you want. It's not a plot hole.
Because it implied a potential story on racism and injustice. And then it went, no, it's not actually about that. I don't know why you thought that, just because there was racism going on.
The racism was of the time. If it was a black kid just not getting roughed up, I'd be like, wait a second, that doesn't seem quite right.
It would take me out the story more so to have
the Pillar Men are all arrogant, so of course they're gonna be like, we're above humans.
That Araki may just simply be a hack who can't stop thinking about the exact same complex and multifaceted topic.
Oh, wait. So how is that a plot hole?
It wasn't. And how is he a hack? Because he thinks of the same complex, multifaceted...
exact same complex and multifaceted topic. Now let's move on to Stardust Crusaders.
Oh, that was it. This is another Yu Yu Hakusho.
Dude, just like you. There's nothing wrong with like
With enough observation, one can tell that Star Platinum is actually the spirit of Jonathan living on in Jotaro. This is
That's your interpretation. There is nothing to support. There's things to support that, but that don't just go, this is a fact. And
it's
then,
all like circumstantial.
Yeah,
stuff.
and then just go and then bolster your points based upon this assumption. No, it's not. It wasn't stated anywhere. This is just an assumption. No.
Living on in Jotaro. This is inconsistent with the definition and the rules Araki would later implement for stands soon after Jonathan's returning debut. Stands are supposedly the manifestation of the user's own soul, but despite this, Jonathan is still somehow the stand of Jotaro.
That's the plot hole.
Where does it state this? What is your supporting evidence for this? Other than the fact that I guess he kind of looks like him. He's big and strong.
I got nothing.
What? I guess sometimes there's lightning around him when he comes out.
What part of the soul was harvest? Like,
you could, his need to not be alone. His
that could be any stand-in.
Yeah,
no, it would even make more sense if it was more like a sentient stand, like in Trisha's stand.
I'm sure that somebody interpreted it in a certain way.
Yes, interpreted it.
Interpretations.
Green Day and Oasis. What this got to do with going in the ground? What's that got to do with his soul?
Yeah. Yep. That's a pretty good one.
It's
Aerosmith.
Yeah, it's said that, and for the most part, it holds true, but it's not a complete rule because there's so many things that break it that has nothing to do with anybody's soul. Why does Jordan want to give life?
Yeah, that's
Jotaro. Early on, it's heavily implied that the world was going to have the combined powers of all the stands Jotaro and the gang faced throughout their journey to Egypt. Hamon B tries to claim this was just a weird headcanon, and the instance
Araki
of
said it in a I think Araki said in an interview, it's like, and then he was like, "Oh no, that'd be too powerful. There wouldn't be a way to defeat him."
So using an ability identical to Hermit Purple is actually Jonathan's stand. Yeah. However, this doesn't seem to line up so well when you consider the following things. A. Jonathan himself was a stand.
He is not a stand. Yeah. See, you're basing your entire thing off of this assumption.
Yep. I knew he would do this. And this is garbage. You can't do that because it's an assumption.
It was impossible for a stand to have a stand until part 4 and afterward. B. Jonathan was not the one using the stand. It was Dio. C. Dio was also seen using Holly's stand. And most incriminatingly, D. Araki once had the...
Did Dio use Holly's stand?
I just see a bunch of flowers around.
No, wasn't it that her body wouldn't be able to take the manifestation of her stand, and that's why it was killing her? Not so much Dio using it.
Go back, because there was the picture that he showed Dio with a bunch of flowers around him.
Okay, maybe.
And most incriminatingly, D. Araki once had this to say in an interview. I originally considered making Dio stand the world capable of every stand ability in, well, the world. I was having trouble coming up with an interesting final fight, however, since I could only play cards that I had already drawn, so to speak. I eventually came up with the idea of stopping time, which was much more interesting. It wasn't until I reread part 3 in 2007 when I realized I had already hinted at my original idea early on.
Yep.
In that same interview, Araki would also admit to several mistakes he made in part 3, including that he wanted to have a fight between Jotaro and Polnareff in the Anumis arc, which the anime would eventually add in. Later in the interview, he mentioned a plot hole as well as a funny moment he had with his editor when he sent in the script for the Polnareff Vanilla Ice fight. When Fujimoto-san read the first manuscript for Polnareff's final fight, which began with Avdol dying, he looked at me and raised an eyebrow. "Why is Avdol dying this arc?" he asked. "You already killed him," he said. I blinked for a second and said, "Oh, I did?" We then both shared a laugh, and I quickly started to work on a second manuscript that had a team-up between Polnareff, Iggy, and Avdol. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish it before the deadline. Later, he suggested that I bring him back in part 4 or 5, but I had to tell him, I don't really like bringing back dead characters. I'm not Toriyama-sensei. The full translated interview will be up on my channel soon, so subscribe so you don't miss it. Several times...
He said that he
had an original idea. He couldn't do it anymore because of the deadline and all this other stuff. So he didn't do it.
But you said Araki admitted to a plot hole. No, he didn't. That is just false.
During Dio's mini-fights, both in parts 1 and 3, we see that he has the ability to instantly heal injured and wounded body parts. Yet for whatever reason, during the fight with Jotaro, Dio has to ask a nearby woman to attach a body part for him.
Pause. Are we not... Can't we just say he was asserting his dominance? He wanted to get her close to drink her. There's plenty of things. It's not like he needed that. He still had one leg. He could have hopped up if he needed to. That's not really a plot hole.
When Jonathan confronts Dio one final time, he neglects to say any last words to his adoptive brother. This seems rather out of character for Jonathan, who always had something to say to Dio every time he encountered him.
Okay, so it's the plot hole. Yes, first, please, of course.
So, did you hear those audio edits? Please re-listen to that and then you get into your whole point. Listen to it.
And who always had something to say to Dio every time he encountered him.
Those were three separate recordings that he cut in, but it was so ugly.
That was pretty bad.
Okay,
but again, he's going back to the assumption that this is Jonathan.
And it's making his entire point of the plot holes of part 3.
Yeah. And also, we have no indication that Star Platinum can speak. Even outside of just talking to Dio. And how is it a plot hole that he does not want... That he doesn't talk to Dio even though he always has something to say to Dio? This is not a plot hole. Even in the fact that even if we assume that this is purely Jonathan, it's not a plot hole that he doesn't say anything to him.
Yeah, at the end of the last Avengers movie, originally Tony Stark does not say anything. And Robert Downey Jr. was like, nah, Tony Stark says something. So, but people wouldn't have been like, it's a plot hole because Tony didn't say anything before he snapped his fingers. That's not a plot hole. At best, you can say it's a character inconsistency, and it's not even that because this ain't Jonathan.
And how does this affect the plot? That he doesn't say anything.
Now let's move on to Diamond is Unbreakable.
These are horrible.
These are really bad.
I think he's had 2 that I was kind of... the very first one, I was like, okay.
But then he goes, there's no pillar women. It's like, what?
Starting in this part, stand names were changed to various music references. For whatever reason though, Jotaro and Joseph neglect to change their stand names to each song references.
Yeah, why would they change what their original song name, stand name was? Oh, now it's just gonna be this.
How is that a plot hole? How does that affect the plot? That's not every stand, the stands in their mind just go, okay, pick a name, but it has to be a band or an album or a song. There's nothing like that.
At best, you could say it's an inconsistency. And you're basically going, in part 7, there was the first person that had a Japanese name as their stand. Are you going, well, nobody before has ever had it, so this is a plot hole?
I just remember that was the one that I saw.
What is that? Hiro's entire shtick is all about keeping a quiet life and not sticking out in the town of Morio. The only issue with this lifestyle is that he's a white man living in Japan. Being a foreigner in an oriental country, especially in a small town, it is impossible not to stick out like a...
Is it ever stated that he's
oriental?
Yeah, because
even if it isn't, he's lived there, so they know who he is. So why would somebody in this small town turn and go, oh, hey, Kira, that's a weird hairstyle. He walks past these people and they don't look twice at him.
And his father has a very Japanese name.
And is pure Japanese.
So if we're being the most charitable, he's half.
He's a mix.
And again, how is he supposed to affect his standing out because of his race? I guess he could move, but this is a quiet little town. I don't.
Quiet little life of sticking out means he's not gonna do anything exceptional. He's just gonna be a face in the crowd. Even if with his blonde hair, you act like there aren't characters in JoJo's with blonde hair.
Yeah. Okuyasu's brother's got blonde hair.
Dio has blonde hair.
It is impossible not to stick out like a sore thumb. Kira should have always been the most hated man in Morio, notwithstanding that no one knew about his murderous actions. There are multiple characters in Part 4 who...
Why should he have been...
Because he's a foreigner.
What? You don't just slip that in? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he should be hated because he's not from here.
Boy, that is an indisputable plot hole, I'll tell you what.
Can you check real quick and see if Kira is a foreigner?
I am 100% sure he's not. I don't need to check this.
I'd prefer to check it. Because then at least we can have some basis for the argument.
We don't need it.
This is true.
Yoshikage Kira, there he is, our boy.
Best villain.
The argument can be made for Funny Valentine.
You know what?
The argument can't be made for Funny Valentine.
The argument can be made, but I won't hear it.
I won't entertain it.
That's for other people to dispute. Me, Kira.
I'm not seeing anything about him being a foreigner.
Okay, yeah.
Wait a second, I gotta...
Nothing?
I'm not seeing anything about
Okay, yeah.
Let me look up, is Yoshikage Kira a foreigner? Nothing.
Okay, then.
He's just wrong. Just because he looks like David Bowie.
There are multiple characters in Part 4 who have stand abilities that are too similar to many of the stands in Part 3.
How's that a plot hole?
How is this a plot hole? We already... Littlefoot and Google Dolls, both shrinking stands. Man in the Mirror and... what is Jake? Why do I remember Jay Guile but not the Hanged Man? They both travel through mirrors and reflective surfaces. There's going to be similarities. Are you going to go through DC Comics and be like, oh, this dude can stretch and this dude can stretch? Plot hole.
There are two people that can stretch.
Of course there are. There has to be.
There's like 37,000 Green Lanterns.
Based on the astonishing number. And that's the problem with Ruby. Ruby out the gate is where everybody's semblance, it's their superpower, is unique. And then they just go, here's a whole family with the exact same semblance. And you go, well, no. Or here's two speedsters. And then they have to cover it up later. Yeah, that's a whole big other issue.
I speed up by doing this, and you speed up by doing this.
Basically.
Yeah, it's gotta be. I vibrate while you just
rub myself to a molecular level. Yeah, okay, sure.
Including but not limited to the Hand compared to Cream, Aqua Necklace compared to Geb, Surface compared to Yellow Temperance, Harvest compared to Lovers, Okuyasu's Dad's Stand compared to Holly's Stand, Earth, Wind, and Fire compared to Gnome. Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I was just about to say he's like a monster thing.
Yeah, I guess he just means it hurts the users.
I was thinking plant because he seems kind of plant based.
Sure, I guess.
Compared to Strength and Star Platinum compared to
Strength compared to Pearl Jam. He affects food. He makes food taste better, and it heals you. Not heals you, but it cures your ailments. How would that compare to Strength? I guess it's just that it transforms something into something else?
Sure.
Strength and Star Platinum compared to the World. Some of the characters who were humbled after fighting Koichi were later drawn as short. For some reason, this is not kept consistent across all enemies, such as Yukako.
Pause.
That's not a plot hole, that's an inconsistency.
Yes, that's an inconsistency, but Araki also said that he did that to make them shorter because they've been humbled or something like that.
So it's a symbolic thing.
Yeah. It's not an inconsistency. It's an inconsistency, not a plot hole. It does not affect the plot in any way. There's not a bullet that comes through the air and misses one of them because they are shorter. You do not understand what a plot hole is.
That's the problem.
This could be a comprehensive, a not even comprehensive list of sort of inconsistencies in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
And maybe a plot hole or two.
Maybe a plot hole or two. That's a little long for a title. Maybe shorten that up, but...
of Diamond is Unbreakable have absolutely no hints of Kira's existence, let alone his role as the big bad, until around the last chapter or so of the part. It's
almost like he wanted to live a quiet life, so he's not blowing people up left, right, and center. It's almost like he's not just waving a sign that goes, "I am a murderer. Come here to stop me." He's doing all of his work covertly. He blows people up without leaving a single trace but a hand. What are we doing here? What do you want?
Shadow Kira early on in the anime were added in to make up for this. There are several plot threads in Diamond is Unbreakable that lacked a satisfying conclusion.
Not being satisfied is not a plot hole.
Absolutely not.
Or any conclusion whatsoever. Most notably, Red Hot Chili Pepper being foreshadowed as the final villain, and the
no. He was foreshadowed. Who said that he was foreshadowed as the final villain? He's a villain that we need to fight. Now, when I was reading, I was like, "Oh, yo, this is the arch villain," and then they beat him. I'm going, "Okay, whatever." How was that a plot hole? He had a role in the story. He fulfilled it. It grew a character. It developed a character. What more do we want here?
Here's your plot hole.
Yeah.
Miss Josuke going back in time to save his past self thing. In an interview, Araki explained...
Hey, AMV.
That's very odd. But one of the ones that I saw was in part 4, because I was exclusively looking for that. The other dude, these are not plot holes sort of thing. And
Araki forgot debunking.
That. He showed a side-by-side of that person and then Josuke, even from the manga. And they've got different pins, they've got different like outfits all entirely. So it's just like either it's a time skip and he changed his outfit, or that's just not him at all. And he even went down like the back of his hair, the little spike things on the back of his hair not there. He compares certain things like earrings and things like that. It's like they're different outfits. So unless you go Josuke changed his outfit, it may not just be him. But it's clearly supposed to be him.
Yes, clearly supposed to be.
That those two plot lines and many others plan to tie all together, but things didn't quite work out the way he thought, so he went another direction. Here's the quote in full. "The idea for Diamond is Unbreakable came to me in a dream. That morning, as soon as I woke up, I tried writing down everything I could remember about it and planned on filling everything else in along the way with storybooks I wanted to include in part 3 but couldn't. One of those things included Red Hot Chili Pepper shooting himself with the arrow and gaining the abilities of all the stands in Morio. While planning the final fight for that one,
he is a man that loves all stands.
I gotta do it. I'm gonna do it one day."
Oh, maybe he's gonna do that in part 8 with the branches.
That'd be good, but that'd be also insanely broken.
Yeah.
You could do it with something like a part 3 where they're just like, this dude is a puppet, this dude is a ship, but part 8 gets a little...
Their powers are too much. Maybe everybody's just kind of bitten off a fruit or touched it or something.
We need something.
While planning the final fight for that one, it made me remember why I ended up changing the world in the first place. Anyway, in the dream, Chili Pepper was also going to have time traveling powers. At one point or another, it was planned that Josuke was going to use the combining and healing ability in Crazy Diamond to combine himself, Jotaro, and Joseph into one person to become Josephame Kujo, the fusion of all...
See, that would make more sense for the person that went into the past.
Mm-hmm.
The Joestars. It would be an ultimate battle through time, in which Jonathan would get involved and gain his own stand. Eventually, Josephame would make his way back to Morio and save his past self. or rather a part of his past self. I thought this was epic and the ultimate culmination of all the events of all the parts leading up to it. I didn't reveal any plans of this to anyone, not even the editors, because I wanted everyone around me to be shocked at how amazing it was. But at one point, Fujimoto-san told me it was about time for me to show him my plans for the ending. So I showed him the draft to the beautiful ending that I dreamt up. He stared at it for several seconds, then asked me what the fuck it was. He asked me where the focus of the small town feel went. He told me that
Here it is! My Mac
pulls up his britches like, oh boy, hitch up them socks because they about to be blown clean off.
He just got the big old Kool-Aid smile head and it's over. And the dude is just reading every line. He just smiling more and more. It's just like, what the is this?
Oh my goodness.
Huh?
This is trash.
What are you doing? This is terrible. No!
It was kind of disappointing that the unique aesthetic in the series so far was being essentially abandoned halfway through. So I went and changed the direction of the ending, and I had to make everything up from chapter to chapter because my plan period was already being occupied with plans for part 5. Speaking of part 5, let's talk about part 5.
So that was it. This is really bad.
This is really bad. He said that this was indisputable. You can't front load your video like that and then pull this trash.
This straight up opinion piece of this is Jonathan as a stand, and because of that, this, and the third.
At no point in the story does Jotaro make any attempt to talk to Giorno. I see this as a plot hole, seeing as
It's not a plot hole. At best, you could say it's an inconsistency, and worse, you could say he didn't give a
Yeah. He goes, is he a cool dude? Yes, he's a cool dude. All right.
He sent Koichi there to do that.
Yes.
Why does he personally need to talk to Gio?
What is he going to do? Fly there? What is he going to do? Hand the phone to him?
Hey, this is Jotaro. Oh, all right. How did that conversation go?
Yeah. You're the son of Dio. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't care. You're just...
Who's Dio?
Stan is Giorno's father. I find
Oh
it
my
hard to
goodness. He pulled this again.
Let me just...
Or does Jotaro make any attempt to talk to Giorno? I see this as a plot hole, seeing as his Stan is Giorno's father.
His dad is not...
Unbelievable.
His dad is his dad, and the abilities just so happen to be kind of similar.
Unbelievable.
He can just happen to use the same ability that Giorno's father used.
This is the fourth time that he's pulled this plot hole because of his opinion.
Find it hard to believe that Jonathan wouldn't at the very least try convincing Jotaro to let him go see his son.
You say this like Star Platinum can speak. We have no indication that he can speak or communicate or anything.
That he's any type of sentient being.
Anything.
One could argue that he did try talking to Jotaro about it, but only off-screen. But with that line of thinking, you could say Passione had daily orgies together, but only off-screen. Or all JoJo tubers are entertaining, but only off-screen. Or Jotaro is a good father.
Okay, we got it the first time.
I didn't get
and
it.
Then you
I'm
went
glad that
again,
he came with more
and now
examples.
you're going for a third one. This is not a rule of three situation.
3 is not enough.
Screen. Or Jotaro is a good father, but only off-screen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Fugo is another prime example of Araki just not knowing what he was doing.
Well, he knew what he was doing, and then he went, I don't like this, so I'm changing it.
And again, Araki not knowing what he's doing. Is that a plot hole? He's already seen
it. Would be if it was within the story, and then he went, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And created a plot hole. But he said in part 4 that he was writing it chapter to chapter. So he didn't know what he was doing. And he still only came up with like 3 plot holes. One of them involved he's Jonathan, though.
When we first get introduced to him and his stand, it is quite clear that it is going to be another lame ripoff of another stand before, Hermit Purple, Purple Haze. But then...
He took his headphones off. It's been so long since we've taken our headphones off. That's when we were really in either utter disbelief or complete disgust. Sometimes anger. Herbert Purple Haze. Clearly a retread.
It's just gonna be another ripoff because it's purple.
Just like your hoodie.
He said clearly. He said it was clearly gonna be another ripoff because it's purple. Oh, y'all cunts ain't ready to debate me. Come to my Discord. Hey, you said it's purple. Is that your argument? Why, yes, it is. Dude,
Star Platinum is Jonathan. Yes, he is.
No examples, nothing. It's clear that it's gonna be another lame ripoff. Purple Haze, Hermit Purple, Benny.
I mean, the writing was on the wall from the beginning.
Man.
And Araki went, oh no, they're gonna figure this out, so I gotta change it real quick. It's clear we already had him, and he knew he had it.
We've been here. His editor came up like, we've been here before. Purple and purple, I see what you doing. You not clever.
Hey, is Hierophant green and green all day gonna be the same?
It has to be going by that logic. Things just can't share a single name.
Can't have the same color in their name.
Nothing, no.
Other stand before, Hermit Purple Haze. But then, when the fight happens, Araki tries too hard to make it more unique. And
wow! What are you talking about? Holy crap, I'm starting to get mad. What are you talking about? He tried too hard to make it unique because he knew he was going to have a retread of the previous stand that had the same color in his name? That's your entire argument?
Wow.
This is awful.
Wow.
What are you talking about?
Wow.
Holy, what?
Dude, he shouldn't have even had this moment. He should have screened this with a friend of his or something. He's like, now cut this part.
I'm hoping at this point this is an elaborate film.
It has to be. This legit has to be.
when the fight happens, Araki tries too hard to make it more unique. And then he sends him off and implies he's going to come back later, and he just...
Implies by what?
When did he imply it? When did he imply it, and what does it affect the plot?
How does he imply that? Because he gets left behind. He doesn't know where they're going, because they don't know where they're going. So when is he supposed to come back? When is it implied that he's going to come back? Just no answer, huh?
Nothing.
Show it being implied, and I'll agree.
No, he said it's clearly implied, so it's a fact.
Doesn't.
It just
and he
doesn't.
tries to explain in an interview that, he meant to.
So you're not going to read this one.
For some reason.
But he just couldn't, or whatever. Fugo's just a mess. Just a mess.
I was at a plot hole that he just
Golden
didn't come
Wind
back.
is
He betrayed the... He went, y'all going to go get yourselves killed. I'm not going to be a part of that. And he goes... You're giving me the choice to stay. I'm going to stay. How's that a plot hole? Yeah. It's a character. It's a character acting upon his own will.
Shoot, at first Natasha stayed. And then went, no, I want to go with you guys.
Not at all a plot hole. Not even a character inconsistency. Just a choice. Just a character choice.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't, or whatever. Fugo's just a mess. Just a mess. Golden Wind is
a mess based on what? That his stand that you thought was going to be similar to something else wasn't, and then he stayed behind when it was implied that he would come back, but he didn't. So Fugo himself is a mess
because of that.
Gotcha.
the part with the least characters to have an explanation as to where their stands come from. In part 3,
people are born with their stands. This is established.
Yes.
Abdul was born with his stand. Kakyoin, we see him as a child with his stand. Far before Dio came back and induced the whole stand thing. There was no arrow indicated or anything. People are born with stands. You're not paying attention. This is not a plot hole.
was essentially collecting stand users from all over the world using his supernatural charisma. In part 4, Keicho, Otoishi, and Kira were all bringing about new stand users with the arrow. Without spoiling anything, there are even perfectly reasonable explanations for how the characters of parts 6, 7, and 8 get their stands. But in part 5, there just happens to be this one big Italian gang, and every single member just happens to have a crazy unit.
Every single member does not have a gang because they even say that Popos is a specialized group of only stand users.
And the whole way to get into that group is to get stabbed by the arrow. If by some... there's no way to pass... They even go, you pass a lighter test by either doing it through your ingenuity, which proves that you're really good with working with... Genius enough to work like that. So you get put on that type of work. It gets flicked out, and then you get a stand, or it gets flicked out and you die. It was a test. It was established in a thing.
You're not paying attention.
The arrows are established. Everybody that we see in the group of the part 5 group, they passed that test and they got a stand because of it.
Stand. King Crimson, while being the most consistent... The whole fact that fans have to explain how it works to other fans multiple times kind of implies that Araki doesn't give an adequate explanation himself. I mean, there's just no way that it's a case of people just not paying attention.
No, he does give an adequate explanation, but he also trivializes those explanations. There's an actual explanation that King Crimson cannot affect things in a stop time, but he affects both Narancia and all those books and his personal items in the hotel room when the maid comes in.
Yeah, he just sort of adds little things that make it more inconsistent. If strays from his original explanation.
Yep.
Well, just not paying attention, right? He should have decided to dedicate a page or several or even a whole chapter breaking down King Crimson's ability.
I'm going to say you shouldn't have done that because they do that for part 7 and it's just like...
It gets a little, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I understand what basically is. I don't need to know the math behind it and all this extra crap.
But Dia did, as a matter of fact. He did explain several pages, just like, here's how my stand works.
Yeah.
Just not all the intricacies.
What's weird is that Araki has had characters with weird powers and taking a bit of extra time to explain exactly how they work, both before and since. Now it's time for anime-onlys, misogynists, and trans folks to all join hands and leave this video, because we're about to talk about Stone Ocean. What I think the weirdest and most mind-boggling Araki forgot moment is the existence of Jojolion. Somehow, he went and forgot who his target audience was. Weekly Shonen Jump.
Okay, I think, wait, no, is he saying that other people are forgetting this?
No, Araki forgot because Shonen Jump is for boys, and Jolene is not a boy. She is, in fact, a girl. And girls are not boys. So that's why this is a plot hole. This is another Araki plot hole, not a JoJo plot hole. Araki plot.
This can't be where he's going.
It absolutely is.
He went and forgot who his target audience was. Weekly Shonen Jump is a magazine for young teenage boys, and as such, nearly every series from the magazine.
Nearly? Is that 100%? Is nearly 100% or no?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm 99.9% can be.
Oh, okay.
Nearly.
Okay.
40% can be nearly.
Has a young teenage boy protagonist, and for whatever reason, somehow Araki went and forgot who he was supposed to be appealing to, and had been appealing to for over a decade at that point, and gave
teenage boys, they don't like girls. Why would boys want to look at a girl? Am I right, fellas?
A bunch of girls in a girl prison getting naked.
Yeah, who wants that?
Why wouldn't you say that Araki forgot that he was creating a power fantasy for people that like big old Hawk men punching each other?
Meat muscle men.
Just slabs of meat just slapping together. He forgot that target audience fairly quickly, didn't he? Because in part 4, everyone starts slimming down.
But no, that's not a plot hole. This is somehow a plot hole. The fact that she is a female in a male-focused magazine is somehow a plot hole.
And does this speak more to his sexism? What
happened to sexism?
The plot hole of Rocky being a sexist because there weren't enough pillar women, but now he's appealing too much to women by having a female protagonist for the part. So him bad in both?
Reverse sexism.
Really, it's the males that are oppressed.
And had been appealing to for over a decade at that point, and gave Stone Ocean a female protagonist.
And she's awesome.
She's amazing. Who cares that she's a female? It matters not. She is a character in her own right. And she is amazing. I'd say the same thing if that was a dude with the exact same actions. Who cares?
Who cares? This Stone Ocean sell markedly less. If no, then shut the up.
Jesus Christ, how does something like that happen? Twice in this part, Araki neglects to give characters names, and instead just makes their name the same as their stand.
The character on the right does have a name.
He just had amnesia and didn't know his name.
The one on the left is actually just kind of plankton.
She's a stand, so she gave herself a name that goes in with the band motif. And this is a plot. He forgot to give them a name? No, he did not. His name, I always call him Heavy Weather. I think I like Heavy Weather more than Weather Report. But Weather Report's name was part of the plot. So of course you couldn't reveal it then. And this is just a sentient pile of plankton with a name.
And instead just makes their name the same as their stand. You could argue that this isn't a plot hole, but it is extremely uncreative.
Then why is it here?
Why is it in the list of plot holes?
Are you saying it's like the man can't just open up a phone book and pick a name?
Seriously.
Are you telling me that he's so uncreative that he can't do that? That he goes, oh my goodness, I can't think of two more names. Just give them the name of their stands. What is your point here?
Even the character that she took over, that Foo Fighters took over, had an actual name. The prisoner had a name, and they called her that originally. No, Foo Fighters.
And this is a problem because he goes, this is an indisputable list. And right here he just goes, you can argue that that's not a plot hole, but it is just lazy. What happened to it being indisputable? That seems like a plot hole in this video.
Extremely uncreative. Another blatant uncreative move is the design of Anasui.
Maybe they look like...
He looks a little bit like Dia.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What's crazy about this one...
But then he also looks like in Abakio in the face.
Yeah.
Is that there...
plot hole?
Is a more interesting design for this character in their first appearance, but then Araki was like...
Hey, no, it wasn't a Rocky. They wouldn't allow Anasui to be a lesbian. So he had to change her to a male. The first two designs you showed were women. He no longer could do that.
So he didn't. So he changed it.
And
again, I would have liked female Anasui as much as I like dude Anasui. Same actions, same feelings.
Design for this character in their first appearance, but then Araki was like, nah, I don't think I will, and then just made Diavolo 2. You know, the crazy thing about this character is that fans will speculate and theorize about why Anasui looked like this in the beginning.
2 videos!
The reality is, nobody knows. Maybe not even Araki.
Okay, so why did you go Araki with, female, another Dia? Why'd you just implant words into his mouth if you're going, nobody knows what the reason is?
That would just remain a mystery till the end of time. One somewhat major plot device in Stone Ocean was Dio's bone. It appears to have been the first metatarsal bone, which is strange because that bone wouldn't have belonged to Dio, it would have belonged to Jonathan. But for whatever reason, every character strange because that bone wouldn't have belonged to Dio, it would have belonged to Jonathan.
Oh, that's interesting. That means nothing.
But
oh, that's it. Did Dio take over Jonathan's body?
Is that for all intents and purposes Dio's body now? It has his essence, it has his soul, it has his regeneration.
Hey, maybe that's why he couldn't regenerate as well. Because it wasn't originally his body. Maybe that's why he needed the woman to bring it over.
There was, in the beginning, he was, like, I can't fight them right now because I'm still getting used to this body. So that could be it. And then what you see that once he got Jonathan's Joseph blood, his regeneration up to a massive degree where he pokes his head and then pulls his hand out and it's already better.
Makes some sense, huh? I think we just closed the plot hole.
That wasn't even a plot hole.
Whatever reason, every character refers to it as Dio's bone.
Okay, who knows that that's Jonathan's body? In that core cast, who knows?
And how is that a plot hole? At best, you could say it's a mislabeling.
Yes.
Does it change the fundamentals of the plot itself? Any parts of the plot itself? To name it Jonathan's bone instead of Dio's bone.
One of the most infamous plot holes in JoJo involves Poochie stands, White Snake, Sea Moon, and Maiden Heaven. The thing about literally every other stand that had some kind of evolution or additional ability or subsidiary, so to speak, is that the naming conventions are all closely related to each other. For example, you have Killer Queen, Sheer Heart Attack, and Bites the Dust, all songs by Queen. Then you have King Crimson, the band, and Epitaph, the song by King Crimson. And then you've got Poochie stands with nicknames that are completely unrelated to each other.
Is that a plot hole?
Is that a plot hole or just him just going, I want these names in here?
Or not a naming convention.
Yeah.
A naming through line.
That's not a plot hole at all. That's... You could be like, yeah, I'd like this to happen, but who cares?
Does Echoes have a song called Part 2 and Part 3?
I don't believe
or
so.
Act 2, Act 3?
That's not even...
Yeah.
Let me look up, because I don't trust him. I gotta look up what is... what was this first one?
Echoes.
No. I meant Poochie's.
Oh,
it's Made in
Poochie.
Heaven,
White
Sea
Snake.
Moon, White Snake. Let's look up Sea Moon. I know what White Snake is. Sea Moon is a song by Paul McCartney, and Made in Heaven is... a song by Queen? It's an album by Queen.
There you go.
Okay, who cares? That's what we come down to. It's not a plot hole. It does not affect the plot whatsoever. It's just a name.
Did that naming conviction stick to either Koichi or Part 7's Protag? I forgot his name for a second.
Joe. Oh my goodness!
Wow,
we're losing our JoJo card.
Wow, how did I forget the Part 7?
I know he's the alternate Joseph, but he had another Johnny.
There we go.
That's what it is. Yeah. No, this is the third or fourth naming thing that he's done in Part 6. Dio's bone.
Completely unrelated to each other. As I closely looked through Stone Ocean again, I found that there were a lot less plot holes than I originally thought, but it certainly doesn't make it not the worst part.
Oh, how dare!
Is it the worst part because woman? After you had just said all you sexist and
transphobes
all leave, and then you go worst part. Why? Because a woman? It's not the worst part. It's not even close to the worst part.
This part has some of the least creative moves put out by Araki.
You are nuts. They turned into snails.
I want to hear him explain himself, or is he just gonna
it's gonna
with it and just
move along?
Move on. I just want to hear before
Least
I go
creative
on.
moves put out by Araki by far, from the stands to the characters to the fights to the ending. Seriously, imagine coming up with a final fight but not being able to figure out how the entire cast working together could win, so you just go ahead and make them lose, and then you can end the series and start from scratch.
Okay, here we go.
Speaking of starting from...
Pause.
Let me slide on back.
This is the least creative, and he just blanket statements just by going with the stands, the fights, the characters. They're all you show 0 examples, and you just put this opinion piece randomly in this comprehensive list of plot holes. You just all of a sudden just go, yo, but part 6 sucks though, you guys. Moving on.
Okay, how is Highway to Hell a uncreative stand?
It's so f***ing good.
I love Highway to Hell.
And then you just have to just look up the matchup of just going, this dude, if he connects to you and he kills himself, he also kills you. Pain transfers over, everything transfers over. What do you got? I got a sticker that if you put it on something, it multiplies something. If you pull it off, it comes off and damages a crew.
You legit tell me 5 fights better than the I forgot, I can only remember 3 things fight. You legit tell me 5 fights better than that fight.
Legit. Jailhouse Rock is like in my top 5. I love it so much.
It's so f***ing good.
It's like I'm barely a fight stand, but I got this thing. And it's just you remember these things, and on the 4th thing, you just blank slate. I love when she sits down and just goes
and talking to Jolene
with the food, and she just puts a roach in it, goes, you want some mustard? You want some ketchup? You want some mayo? Oh, thank you. And she just starts eating because she forgot about the roach. It's fantastic, and she just rolled up her sleeves like, do not trust mother. Oh my Jailhouse Rock.
And she was writing it on her, and then she hit some water to wipe it off, and then she starts stitching it into her skin.
Man.
And then you got the kid, he also forgot, so he's constantly like, I'm getting shot. Okay, I need to do this. I need to get Jolene.
Shocked again. Oh my Jailhouse Rock is so money. But yeah,
you legit tell me 5 fights better than Jailhouse
It's
Rock.
ridiculous that you just blanket statement.
You tell me more badass moment than Jolene and Poochie handcuffed together and just going.
This is just what it's gonna be.
We fisting it up.
Jolene, after she beats the freaking meteor dude, sees 2 people walking up to her. She's injured. She's by herself, and she just goes, all right, come on, bring it to on.
Here's the middle finger in like 7 different languages.
Oh my goodness, bring it to on. Come on with this trash. And if you're gonna do this, don't just blanket statement of just going all these characters there's no other person with the characters that's bad, the fight is bad. Oh my goodness, can you imagine him coming up with a final fight so bad that he has had to kill everybody? Yeah, it was an insurmountable odd. I would not have they tried everything and they were just decimated. What do you want?
What could they possibly
do? Every single plan, he's 18 steps ahead because he's going at so fast. What do you want? They had a plan, didn't work.
Death.
Jolene got spoilers for everything, and I'm sure you're gonna put it on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Jolene. He goes, all right, you punched through me to get to Sea Moon and Bucci, and then I die, and everybody's cool. Plan goes through fruition. He turns his head. Jolene's there. He's like, I can't punch through Jolene. Everybody dies. What do you want? Araki's so uncreative. He thought of a villain that they couldn't beat. Okay. And they died. Not everything has a happy ending. Not all villains can be defeated. But then he was.
I thought you had knocked out my headphone.
Scratch. Let's move on to Steel Ball Run. Ever since Jotaro, the very first protagonist to have a stand, each main JoJo would have a stand named after a mineral or a metal or, something that comes out of the ground. You had Star Platinum, Crazy Diamond, Gold Experience,
It's almost
and
like this is a
Stone
whole
Free.
new universe.
Additionally,
with a whole
notice how
new
the
different
later the
naming
JoJo
What is
part
up with
the
you
less
and these
rare-
names? This is
Why are the first three precious metals and the last one just a rock?
You could say that as they go further away from the original JoJo's,
It gets
blood.
lesser.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting, actually. Platinum,
Gold, stone, yeah.
diamond. I think it would be a little bit better.
I think platinum is better.
But yeah, let's just go with your thing: platinum, diamond, gold, stone. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But anyway, this is not a plot hole. It's a whole other universe.
Yeah.
Shut the up with these names. How does this affect the plot? And you have to ask yourself with this, so many of these. How does it affect the plot that he's not named like freaking Ruby?
The JoJo part is, the less rare and valuable the material the stand is named after is. It started with platinum, which is extremely rare, and eventually went down to stone, which is extremely common. Furthermore, starting with part 4, the second word to every protagonist stand name started with the letter corresponding to the number of the part. Araki would highlight this by occasionally shortening the stand names, so you'd sometimes have Crazy D, Gold E, and Stone F.
I have never seen Gold E or Stone F.
Apparently threw away
And I love how he didn't just go S Platinum, because that didn't happen.
Yeah, he said it started with part 4.
I've seen Crazy D, but the other two I've never seen.
complex and clever naming convention in part 7 by just making Johnny's stand named Tusk. What's strange is that all this sort...
To be fair, he didn't even have a stand for
Yes.
a large portion of that part.
And again, how is this a plot hole? How is this indisputable?
Isn't a tusk something from a mammoth and an elephant, which has been around for billions of years and is in a mineral in the ground and even lesser than stone?
You could say that.
But I'm not going to because that's stupid.
contributes to the strangest Araki forgot moment yet, in which he apparently forgot which stand names to give to whom. You see, in order to fulfill the first part of the naming convention, you'd have to come up with something that comes from the ground that's less valuable.
Christ
than stone,
almighty,
right?
he's still doing this.
Why are you
He's still
talking about
going.
this? Why are you still talking about this?
He's still going.
So the only candidate left would be Dirt. This leads me to believe that Johnny's stand was originally supposed to be Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. You see...
Really?
Who cares?
First of all, you know what?
Who
Both in the
cares?
SBR universe and outside, this name is typically shortened to D4C. When you add 4 and the C together, taking the fourth number and the third letter, you get 7, or G. Thus, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap would...
Wow.
You can't be serious.
You gotta take the first letter of the D's, and that's 4, and then C is the third letter.
be shortened to Dirty G, thus fulfilling the naming scheme of the previous JoJos. There are numerous other plot holes
Yeah, but it doesn't happen in part 8 in any way.
in Steel Ball Run.
What's worse than dirt?
Probably. The issue is, though, that Steel Ball Run,
Well, hold on. What?
You can't.
fulfilling the naming scheme of the previous JoJos. There are numerous other plot holes in Steel Ball Run. Probably.
Comprehensive list of potholes. There's other ones in part 7. Probably.
I can't be asked.
Probably. The issue is, though, that Steel Ball Run was the first JoJo park since Phantom Blood that was actually any good. And what kind of crazy person actually takes their time to look around for flaws in a story that they genuinely enjoy? Just focus on the stuff that's actually good about the story and don't worry about anything else. This is coming from someone who reads, analyzes, and writes stories a lot. I expect a story to be perfect, but anyone would know that it's very difficult for writers like Araki to achieve such a thing. So if imperfections...
Why would somebody look for flaws in the things that they like? You don't have to look for the flaws, but you should be able to point them out if need be.
Yes, this is a comprehensive list. This is your favorite part, assumedly, and you're just sugarcoating it
By going
to make it to just be like, this part is good. I'm not gonna lessen that goodness by pointing out plot holes. You're a child.
Enough to not be noticed while reading, I believe it may as well be perfect.
No. You can point out a plot hole that is not surface level and still go, hey, that's a plot hole. This is a list of plot holes. This is not a list of plot holes that are easily seen. So do your job and look for the plot holes and point them out.
Man.
You're afraid that you pointing out plot holes is going to lessen your love of this part.
Unbelievable.
And the stand name thing is the only imperfection I found while...
Imperfection, that should have been it. This is a list of imperfections in JoJo's.
Imperfections would be a lot better. With the whole naming conventions, absolutely. I would accept that. But that's not a plot hole.
Reading. This is also to say that the other plot holes are ones I encountered while reading, though in some cases further research had to be done, like with the interviews. Honestly, I don't think people should be searching so hard for plot holes, especially when a writer is doing their earnest. I mean...
Well, but he's not doing his earnest in other parts, are you saying? So they should be pointed out, just not this one? For some reason?
For the whole thing, though. People shouldn't be looking for plot holes in JoJo's when a writer is doing their best. I don't care how hard a writer is working. If your story sucks, it sucks. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm searching for all the plot holes and blah, blah. No.
This is baby mode DBZ MRAM mentality of just going, they're working hard, so don't criticize them.
No, screw you.
No.
Sure, if you spot a plot hole while reading the story, that's okay, but closely scrutinizing every single element...
A plot hole is a plot hole, and a plot hole lessens the story because it creates questions that there is no answer to, or problems that are presented later on to questions we had before. It has nothing to... It's not about, oh, finely tooth combing. If you have a plot hole in your story, it is not a good thing unless that is the point.
There is, with the sole intention of finding something to, I guess, mock the reader for, is honestly pretty disrespectful in my opinion.
It's not to mock the reader, it's to point out how they did something incorrectly. Not
go,
how Rocky, you piece of, you're so stupid, look at what you forgot.
And how it could be done better next time, or improved, or how you would do it. It sparks a discussion.
So, with that being said, let's move on.
Holy, all this smacking
so he's just going,
I love part 7.
I'm not going to look into it because it doesn't deserve it. Let's move on to something that does deserve it. This is a child.
On to Jojolion.
This is unbelievable. I cannot believe. Is this a troll video?
I gotta assume.
It has to be.
I'm waiting for the very end to just go like this troll.
Jojolion is probably the JoJo part with the least real sense of direction. No matter how many new chapters come out, the story feels incomplete somehow. My greatest fear is that this feeling will continue to linger for an even more extended period of time.
That's a personal opinion. Let's go with the comprehensive list.
Get a true feeling of closure until the very end.
This personal feeling, this is opinion.
And despite people like Hamon Beach making valiant efforts to defend this set of stairs
Who
that
cares?
lead to
Let's go.
nowhere in
Who
manga
cares?
form, the truth is, Araki did forget the walleyes, sorta. He spoke about this in a recent interview commemorating Jojolion 100, saying the following. I first came up with the walleyes in 2011 after predicting the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. But as time passed and the country at large began to move on from the incident, I started to look back on this plot point and I thought to myself, wow, this idea was pretty dumb. And I don't
Why didn't anybody stop me?
It was times like these when I miss Fujimoto-san, who would stop me whenever I came up with a bad idea. But he also stopped me when I came up with good ideas, so whatever. Anyway, I tried to introduce a bunch of other intriguing mysteries that might distract readers from the walleyes, like I was able to do in previous parts. He laughs right here. I'm not going to fake a laugh. But one look at Twitter and Nico Nico was enough evidence to show that readers just weren't having it this time. I was frustrated and didn't know what to do with the wall eyes, and I wanted so desperately to pretend they never existed that I almost posted an announcement on the JoJo website telling people that the wall eyes was an officially dropped plot point and urging fans to stop thinking about them. But then, while washing the dishes with my wife Chami, a new idea for what to do next just came to me. So yes, do keep an eye on the wall eyes and stay tuned for when I finally come up with an idea for how to end the story. While it's good that Araki is now able to pick up dropped plot points, the following plot points seem to have been dropped indefinitely. First, we have Jojolion's central theme of self-discovery.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What are we supposed to do with that? The theme of self-discovery was dropped. Maybe because he figured out who he was and now he has something to protect. Doesn't even matter. We're criticizing a concept.
Which for Josuke is literal and for Yasuho is figurative.
Yay!
Several times during the first few chapters, Josuke would ask himself, just who am I?
Yeah, for the first few chapters. Then he went there and they went, oh, you're Kira. But not really. You're kind of Kira, but you're kind of another person. Okay, cool. And that was like 40 chapters ago.
And now he knows who he is.
And the fact that such a question has not appeared in his inner monologue box for the longest time.
Because he knows who he is. He met his mother.
This is unbelievable.
Leads one to believe that Araki no longer wishes to focus on such a theme anymore. In fact, it's been a few chapters.
It could have been a central theme in the beginning of it. And then it moved on to a different central theme. Maybe?
Themes. Who gives a
It's been a few chapters since we've seen Yasuho at all.
Oh.
Is that a plot hole? Oh. Yes, it is, because I f***ing love Yasuho. Oh. Put her in every chapter.
Oh, well, she came back, so yeah, it's cool. But
for
a while, it was looking real bleak.
She's the best.
Real.
Hands down the best. But no, shut up.
So it's entirely possible that Araki may have decided to write her off.
What are you talking?
This was 4 months ago. 4 months ago was 4 chapters ago. She had already gotten into a fight and got flushed down the toilet and all that crap.
So she was there from chapter 1 to, let's say, chapter 85, and then he goes, nah, I'm done with her. She's just written off.
Kato, in her first appearance, had an offer extended to her by Joshu to suck her titties. This setup for character drama between the two has yet to be paid off. Now, before you go
pause. She came into the house like, I'm your mother, and she was clearly making everybody uncomfortable. So he goes, I'm going to just do an outrageous thing. And say, well, let me suck your boobs, and maybe she'll be like, oh my goodness, you're a bunch of weirdos, and she'll leave.
I'm memeing, let me explain this a little further. This scene was a metaphor for the fact that Jobin had a very close relationship with Kato as a kid. After all, she went to jail on his behalf. Now, Joshu is a character who has been all about getting shafted since the very beginning of Jojolion. First he had his girl stolen, then his room, and now he feels like his family might be neglecting him, and that he's sort of being taken out the picture, so to speak.
Why is he such a bum, but he's pretty good at editing? Did he edit this? I don't want to give him credit.
Asking to suck his mother's breast is a semi-metaphorical plea for the attention and nurturing he feels he needs.
No. I don't take it like that.
He was being a douchebag, which is what Joshua is. He's a douchebag.
Yes, and I love him so much.
Dude, his whole little 1 mini arc where it's like a chapter and a half, 2 chapters.
Michelin Man was amazing.
Such a good little arc.
Yes.
In the middle of all this crap, and it's just like, okay.
Here's Joshua's little self-discovery thing. At the end, he sees a billboard with a bunch of pop stars. He goes, they're the same age as me. And they're doing all this. What do I have? I have to have something.
Nothing else about this potential dynamic is ever brought up again, seeming that it may not ever come to pass.
Oh my god. That's your interpretation.
That's also not a plot hole.
It's also not a plot hole.
And you can't say that something is a plot hole before the story ends.
Seriously.
Because if there's no payoff for the plot, there's no hole in it yet. So it could be paid off.
Yeah.
It could be the final chapter, and it's just like blah blah blah, and then or it could be like, Josh, you wake up, I'll let you suck my titty like you wanted to, and blah blah blah. Who knows?
One other mystery is the fact that for whatever reason the Speedwagon Foundation is in this universe, when it is pretty obvious that the Foundation only existed in the original universe, which Jojolion is not set in.
You can't be serious, dude.
What is he talking about? What?
You can't be serious.
Based on what?
Are you telling me that there is no chance that a gentleman by the name of Speedwagon could not come up with another corporation? Are you telling me that there is a 0% chance of that happening? Who cares if it's another universe?
It seems that Araki has forgotten how his own timelines are being set, which is quite the travesty. And that just about wraps up every single plot hole in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
30 seconds left. Please just tell me this is a joke.
Please, he has to.
But then if he's like, come to my Discord to talk about it, you know what? Maybe it's an elaborate show where you go into the Discord and then
everybody points and laughs.
And then the top comment, the sticky, is just like, you fell for it.
If you would like to debunk these ideas, feel free to talk it out in my Discord server, in which I will destroy whichever trash argument you have. Now subscribe.
He can still pull it off.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
He's just coming. We're gonna be the fools. Here it comes.
5 seconds.
Gotcha.
Nope.
-10.
Really? You did headphone it. And headphones should be like an auto -10.
Dude. Purple.
You know what? I can't stop. You can't stop it.
I will retroactively change your -10.
It's a -10.
This is a terrible video. He had maybe 3 good ones.
Maybe. And the other ones were either little nitpicks that don't matter or non-plot holes. Or things that he thought up in his own mind to create plot holes.
To just wholesale make them.
This was a terrible video.
Terrible video.
I cannot. I'm not splitting this video. It's only 1 hour 20. It's going up in one part. This is really bad.
Wow. I thought it'd be bad. I thought he'd be making a whole bunch of good points. Because there's some
like legit, this is a -7, -7.5 video.
There are some legit stuff in JoJo's that is like, plot hole.
Not this.
Not just names. Not
Jonathan
this
is Star
clearly
Platinum.
Jonathan Bush. Not this. I'm not even gonna look at part 7. You got the name thing, and we moving on. Unbelievable.
-10.
That's baby mode stuff right there.
I cannot believe he was this bad.
That's a legit baby mode.
Yeah, this was a pure baby. And then I'm not gonna criticize part 7 too much because I love it. It's my favorite part, and I don't think you should be looking for plot holes in your favorite. Come on, dude.
Come on. Comprehensive list, indisputable list.
I enjoy the Harry Potter movies, but I get to point out an inconsistency in the third one where Harry strikes the basilisk with the sword, but the tooth isn't in his arm, and then in the next scene he has the tooth in his arm. His arms were between or under all the teeth. That's pretty weird. You can point out inconsistency in X2. I love X2 where Nightcrawler is supposed to be teleporting, but he's in the shadow behind them and just waiting to walk out. And then he teleports in the previous scene. I love X2 where Nightcrawler is supposed to be teleporting, but he's in the shadow behind them and just waiting to walk out. And then he
baby mode's just like, I ain't even touching this. Big -10.
Yeah. Not Hall of Fame.
No, absolutely not. But this is really bad. Mm-hmm. This is like, again, just look up a Reddit list and just wholesale copy that and make a better video.
And then research the things they said and go, yeah, that does it. Okay, let's do that. You know, we ranked our -10s in the relisted. Mm-hmm. I had forgotten we had even did that.
Oh boy.
It is not a good list.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's really good, but oh boy, I think Ran was the ninth.
Really,
dude?
Okay, no, that was the second Ran though.
Yep,
so I can see that. The first Ran.
No, it was the first Ran, not the second Ran.
It was the fall of Bleach.
Yeah,
it was.
4 years.
No. It couldn't have been.
Yes, it was.
No,
that's the first video we did.
No, I mean,
the Bleach ruined reputation.
Ruined reputation.
Yes,
yeah,
we didn't. That wasn't.
Yeah, no. That's number one. Number two, who knows? Who cares? We'll talk about that later. We'll do a part 2 to that video. Who cares? The second one, I could see it being 9 is a little too low.
Do you want to hear the list?
I would like to hear the list.
Okay, we're out of here. We don't know what we're doing next, but we're not doing anything next week because he's going to be on Persona 5.
We can do a really, really quick one. There is a there's been one that people have been requesting that we hit lately, and it is what is it? Why do I have all these playlists? I need to shorten this down.
Dude, you got 97 tabs open at all time. I don't want to
My tabs lists have gone down
to 84. Good for you.
An 11-minute video on how does King Crimson work.
Oh yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Get in, get out. We just do this as one part, that as another part. Give the people something to chew on.
Okay, yeah, that works for me. Yeah, let's hear that list thing. Right. We're done
for now. For you.